I'm Crystal Oculee, the Chief Financial Strategist here at Confidence Wealth, and every week I try to bring a topic to you that's short but condensed and regarding points that I think are important that has come up in other meetings I've had. So I would say this week really the focus is understanding the preservation and distribution phase of retirement and how volatility affects it. So there are three phases to a financial plan and getting to retirement. There is the accumulation phase, which you're accumulating and investing aggressively. You have plenty of time for recovery. Then you get to what's called the preservation phase. That's usually maybe 5 years away from retirement or 10 years away from the time you need your money type of a thing, where you have to still preserve what you got and then earn on it, but you really can't take a big dip down to try to get back up because you're getting close to the distribution phase. And then the distribution phase of retirement is all about when you need actual distribution from your funds, whether it's required minimum distribution or money that you purely need to supplement your pension or Social Security, rental income, or whatever it may be. So these phases work differently in the market and how the volatility affects them. When you're in the accumulation phase, if your portfolio goes down 40%, you have the timeline to recover because you are a couple of decades or so away from retirement. Plus, it's not the amount is not as big as when you're closer because you still have many years you haven't contributed. So throughout the other years, even after the market drops, you're still adding money into your 401k or your savings, and you're buying dollar cost averaging. So basically when the market drops and your portfolio drops, you're buying more stuff on sale, basically, and it's helping you recover. So that recovery is a lot smoother. One, because you don't need your money. Two, you have the timeline. Three, you're adding money in and your own hard-earned money is helping the recovery. The moment you get to preservation phase is totally different. Now, it takes a lot longer to recover if you didn't have to add anything in. So let's say preservation phase for you weren't working anymore. So let's say you had retired and it was 5 years from that point on is when you needed to dip into your money because maybe you had other monies on hand that were going to pay for your expenses, and 5 years down the line, you needed to take that money out. So if it's preservation phase where you're not adding in, now if the portfolio drops, then the recovery is much more it takes so much longer than it would have because you're not adding anything in to help your own recovery. So let me give you an example. Pretend you have 100,000, just to make math easy. If the market dropped 50%, you're down to 50,000. If the market goes back up 50% the following year, which doesn't really happen like that, but let's just say it goes up 50%, you didn't recover. You're now at 75,000 because 50% of 50,000 is 25,000. So you're now at 75,000. So in order for you to get back up all the way to the original 100,000, you need 100% recovery. How often does the market go up 100% in a short period of time? You really don't see that historically. So that's the reason why it takes a long time for that money to catch up where it was. Now imagine, just add in the distribution phase. What if not only your money dropped, then on top of it, you had to take a distribution from it. So now it's a double whammy if you're in the distribution phase. Not only you've gone down, but you have to take money out, and now recovery may not even occur. Here's the exact reason why you hear a lot of stories in year 2000, in year 2008, where during decades where someone retired, where the negative happened at the beginning or towards when they were about to retire, they just never were able to recover in the same way. That's the reason why having a foundational plan in place is so important, creating different buckets for different times, because you can't not invest because then you're not going to have any gains. You got to keep up with inflation, but you also can't have your eggs all in one basket. Foundational planning is extremely important. And I want you to understand that SOR risk, sequence of return risk, and recovery can really make a great impact on what's going to happen in your retirement if you don't plan for it. So it's about understanding sequence of return, different buckets set up for different times, so you can really get yourself from point A to point B in a stable way. In the meantime, if you have never tested against sequence of return and you're like, Crystal, what are you talking about? And you're not a current client, and maybe your friends and family of our clients that have never done that, please feel free to watch the webinar that I have put in here that will talk about sequence of return. You can click on it and see for yourself and understand it a little bit, and we'll be happy to run a stress test for you. Our current clients, as you know, in your annual reviews, that's constantly always getting ran for you. But if it's been a while since you saw your team, feel free to reach out to run your stress test again. But I wanted you to understand sequence of return risk and why it's a lot harder to recover from a double-digit loss, and no amount of double-digit recovery will help you if you're in the distribution phase and having to live off of that money. It just means the recovery is going to be a lot slower, and in some cases there is no recovery. So just be very careful what phase of retirement you're in, what phase of financial plan you're in, and adjust accordingly. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Talk to you soon.